Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button and your news section. I am one of your hosts, Alejandro, and with me it's the reincarnation of Steve Irwin.
Paul. Hey, everybody.
I'm really loving that shirt. Is that like what is the name of what's that brand? Because I think I have this
Magellan.
kind of yes, I have those kinds of shirts, but in different color also.
I have a few, but yeah, I'm doing awesome. It's been a busy day and a busy week for me so far, Alejandro.
You were in errand duty, right? Just right now.
I was on errand duty. I had taxes. I had things to drop off. I had things to pick up. I had places to be. I basically circumnavigated the entire greater New Orleans area today, all the way through Metairie, around Kenner. I know this means nothing to you. All the way around the West Bank, in just like one fell swoop, following the Mississippi River, and then coming back up, splitting through New Orleans to finally finish up. And I'm still not done.
Yeah, you're taking a break to record this.
Yes, I am. Alejandro, how you been?
Well, it's funny that you asked me last week what I did with managing and all that. I'd be like, oh yeah, I work from home. Yeah. Turns out, not anymore. Back at office. But just in the mornings. So it's like, yeah, we need someone to like oversee stuff in the spot while like in the morning. And I was like, I'll do it because I have recordings to do in the afternoon. So that works well. So in fact, I'm actually glad because I feel even more energized for having just gone out. Or more like going out that's not just going on hikes, because it's just been going on hikes and being home. That perpetual loop of hike place, home, hike place, home. And now I'm like, oh yeah, we're kind of breaking a little bit of the loop. I've been a perpetual death loop. So yeah. And also I think it's gonna be a fun news day just based on the things that I was able to type out right before you came in. And also, I just have to roast you a little bit, Paul. I cannot believe you didn't know. Yeah, just for people to know. Paul didn't know you could account share on a Nintendo Switch.
That is correct. Nobody had ever told me. I didn't even know that it was a thing on PlayStation until maybe about 4 years ago. So like halfway through the PlayStation 4's life cycle, I think. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until like somebody that I talked to, he like split all of his sales with his girlfriend because they live separately. And I was just like, you can do what now? That's nice. Mm-hmm. And then I just never utilized it because nobody ever wanted to buy things halfsies and do that. So I was like, all right, I'll just live my life out here by myself.
That's literally how I went the entire PS4 generation with my brother. Because we bought our general PS4 like when it launched, but then I got my own while I was in college. But my brother was using my account, buying games there. He didn't have his own one. So I was like, let's account share. You're going to have the primary system so that then you can create your own account, like you're with your own profile and all of that. And you can still buy the games through like my account and I get to have them, and we split payment. And we did that for a while. God damn it, are you hearing the construction?
Just a tiny bit,
okay.
Yeah.
We're almost done with construction. We're this close now to never hear that kind of noise other than my dogs. But yeah, I did that, and same thing with the Xbox. I did it with my friend Josh. We account share. Even with our buddy PJ, I account shared for a little bit his account until he got hacked and lost it forever. And me losing a couple games that I had split payment with him that I had to rebuy myself.
That's probably one of the biggest reasons why he's actually so salty about everything we do. Mm-hmm. With PlayStation and such.
Oh yes, because he missed out on being diligent about trying to recover. He tried to recover it like a month later.
Yeah. Like
literally a month before the pandemic. Before the pandemic put a lot of robots in place of customer service. So yeah, it's like I just found it funny when you said that you buy physical Switch, like the one thing that you just bought if you want to share it.
There it is.
Like, and I was like, you know, you can account share, right? Because you have your wife with her own Switch, you had mentioned.
Yes.
So. Yeah,
that surprised me a lot. That you can do that. I don't know why. I guess it would make sense that you could, but Nintendo never advertises it. And
Nintendo is Nintendo. You wouldn't expect Nintendo to do something so basic like that.
No,
so I don't blame you. That's one of the only things that they have parity with the other ones when it comes to like digital sharing. So enough roast and enough preamble, Paul. We got a few meaty things today. So press X
for some news.
Alright, we usually do news of what's been happening or what happened the previous week because rarely things break on Monday. Thankfully for us, the gods were with us because Elden Ring has been delayed. So, and that was announced today when I woke up. So, the first official 2022 delay news has already begun. Developer From Software confirmed today that they're pushing the highly anticipated Elden Ring from its late January 2022 date, I think it was specific, I just don't remember when, to February 25th, 2022. Why does that date sound like something familiar? Because that day was when the Saints Row Reimagining we saw at Gamescom was revealed to come out. And that date is 3 days after Destiny 2 The Witch Queen expansion and also Sifu, and a week after Horizon Forbidden West comes out. Not to mention that Dying Light 2 is a week before that. This continues to underline just what an incredibly jam-packed / horrible release period early 2022 is gonna be for the wallet.
I am not happy.
In the slightest.
Of all things, I am surprised that Elden Ring got delayed in some ways, but also not surprised about others. I mean, in general, all of this stuff. I'm almost surprised that everything that is set to come out is actually meeting its goal. I wish that it wasn't Elden Ring because January was kind of nice. It was like right before all the craziness really popped off, and it would have been nice to go back to Elden Ring in the midst of all these other releases.
Yeah, it would have been a great starting point for 2022 for us, like a big, hard, but like something you could have there and chip at it when other things come out.
Exactly what I was thinking of doing. So I am a little disappointed by that. I'm also doubly disappointed that it is on February 25th, which, as you just mentioned, is in the middle of everything going on.
Yeah.
Don't appreciate that at all. And 3 days after the Witch Queen expansion, I mean, I've taken a bit of a break from Destiny so I don't burn out again anyway. So
same here, because the seasonal story, like if you've kept up week to week, it's done. So right now it's like the Festival of the Lost Halloween event, and who knows what else until December when there's the 30th anniversary event that's gonna add that's gonna have the Bungie themed things, and also the Galahorn's coming back, and also adding a dungeon and all that. I'm waiting for December. That's when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna devour this. I'm gonna enjoy everything in between, so I don't burn out either.
I don't think this is going to go well for any of these companies. I mean, what was it, the people that you shared their tweet saying, if I was Saints Row, I would be getting the F out of there?
Yeah, Paul Tassi from Forbes. Yeah.
Because comparatively, Saints Row has a lot more to prove than everything else coming out right now. Even if Elden Ring technically does, it's got so much of that hype riding on it that it's going to help initial sales immensely. Yeah. Saints Row people are going to wait on that one.
Think about Sekiro, the last From Software game. Was Game of the Year for many people in 2019. Not me.
And it came out in like January, February, didn't it?
March 2019.
Oh, wow. Huh.
I'm like, if they were going to push, just go to 2 months. Just like go, or well, that's the thing. March is also equally horrible. Gran Turismo 7, GTA 5, Stranger of Paradise, like, and other things that I even forgot at this moment. It's like there's no good time. Like Elden Ring had a good time in January because it wasn't quite the release tsunami that this is. Yeah, February's insane. Like I'm staking now that the things that I'm gonna be playing in February, just on my because of my personal taste, will be Horizon and Destiny. Everything else is gonna be like, I'll wait for a sale, or unless it's like very highly. Like what happened to me with Metroid. that no one shut up about it. That I was just like, yeah, I'll just buy it, and I'm grateful I did.
All right, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, because
that was
I think
literally me. If you hadn't bought it, I wouldn't have bought it. But then you went through your whole ups and downs of it, and I think I felt like I had justifiable warning on certain things about it. But then I was just like, I've always wanted to get into the Metroid series with Samus, and just wanting to know more about that world.
And just know that thing messed up my finger.
I know. I'm worried. If I'm being entirely honest, I can see it staring straight at me. I'm dreading it.
Yeah, and it's in the name. But I tell you, you're gonna like. But we will talk about that when we get into our what we've been playing part tomorrow. But I can't wait for that. But yeah, if it's gonna be like constant praise from not just the super hardcore like fanboys. Right. Calling out our friend PJ, he's like, swap Nintendo's bot, that he was like, this is the greatest thing ever. No, it was other than just hearing him, just hearing equal praise from other people that I trust more.
Absolutely.
That I was like, okay, he must have a point, because let's remember, he was praising WarioWare, he was praising Super like Mario Golf, all these things. He praises Skyward Sword, so that's why I was like, yeah, it's when you hear it unanimously and no one shuts up about it that is like, maybe there's something to this, and I'm glad I did, and I can't wait for you and Zach to, because Zach also bought that game today.
I saw the screenshot of that
in the shot, so I was like, yes.
Posted that and then just said fine.
Yes.
That's a big deal from him.
Oh yes. So we got him. Like we broke him. We broke you. Like me and PJ broke you both down to get in, and I'm trying to get him in, just so he can also deliver the praises he wants to say, because I can also take those down a few notches. But I can't wait for all four of us to just talk about the one game that we're all playing. So
it is kind of gonna. Those are always entertaining whenever we actually get into the. Oh, by complete happenstance, we all are playing the same game. Let's talk about our various feelings on it.
And I feel bad for Zach. Like he wanted to come in last week because he wanted to talk about Kena, and we both just ended up not playing it. I was like, dang, it's like, I feel like that could have been this will be like the made good, I feel like.
I hope so, because we still haven't played Kena.
Yeah, I'm still
after I made my progress, I dropped off again, and I feel bad about it because I loved it. But then I was just like, I feel like I need to play other things too, because I want to satisfy myself when I play Kena.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I want to play what I want to play. I don't want to play something because I have to play it. Yeah. Like that's what I didn't play Metroid just because I wanted to, like I had to play it. I eventually just wanted to play it because everything just sounded so appealing. And Kena is that one game that I'm like, you're so pretty, you're so good, I just want to savor it. And I feel a bunch of these games are gonna maybe be that from that early 2022.
It really does feel like that big old bowl of ice cream. You can only have a little bit of it to really satisfy yourself. If you have too much, you're just gonna like really mess yourself up. Not to say that Kena is junk food at all. It's just the highest quality, but you don't want to have the highest quality food all the time, or it kind of ruins everything else.
Exactly. So
that's all I'll say on that.
I'll just say it's like we already said that early 2022 was horrendous, and I feel like it's gonna start now. You're gonna start seeing all this trickling out because everyone should know.
Yeah. Like
a lot of these games are going to suffer by releasing all together, and the worst part is a lot of these games are going to suffer because of fiscal year ends in March, so you may not see it push any farther unless they just want to eat it for that year and kind of like eat it in front of the investors and try to like submit it for like next year's fiscal year. That takes balls. So
it's a lot. Just imagine if they actually do try doing something like pushing Battlefield 2042 into that absolute jungle. I think that's one reason why they're going to meet the November 18th hell or high water, because if they push it back, sales are going to be affected so much worse, even if the product is worse now. They'll take that hit because they know they'll get more sales out of it.
Exactly. And not only that, now they have kind of here's what's funny. January, it's so bare bones now, other than like Rainbow Six Quarantine or Extraction. Yeah.
I almost said Pandemic.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah, it's I feel maybe if to hell or high water, it's like they're just not up to snuff. I think maybe they could, if they have to push, maybe January would be like the safest.
That would be the best choice.
But,
I don't know. I doubt they will. But
yeah, if they want sales, like February and March are effed. Like they're effed completely. So number 2, Paul. Like just to talk about more upcoming releases. DC held its second virtual DC fandom event, where amongst different updates for their upcoming TV, movie, and comic slate. By the way, that Peacemaker TV show, I can't wait for it. It looks
looks really funny. I watched that. Yeah.
And the Batman trailer, I was more impressed with last year's trailer. This one felt a little bit more. Everyone's like praising it. I'm like, it looks like The Dark Knight. Last year's felt more unique, like a prestige cable series, but we're not a movie. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
They also showed once more another look at their 2 upcoming video game properties, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Gotham Knights. While showing...
Which I found out, I want to cut you off, because I found out they are also making the crypto game, and there's a trailer for that out. I don't know if you heard about that.
Wasn't that just a movie? Or did I just tune that out?
It's an animated game, I think. And I forget what it's called, but it was like the Buzz Lightyear shooter, where he's flying forward and he's shooting stuff up. And it's like Adventures of Crypto and Ace or something. But I did spot that in the middle of everything else.
That Crypto the dog, right? Let me see.
Yeah. And he looks like he's animated, but it was like a actual game. Looked terrible, but it looked cute. Like it was a genuine kids game.
Yeah, it's DC League of Super Pets. Yeah, that's what it was called. Yes, but that's not like their big headliners like these other ones.
I wanted to throw that out there because.
But yeah, it's good to know. Like it's a good point because they have something else like that heroine.
The superhero girls.
Yeah, the superhero girls that's on Switch also. So they also.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, for at least this event, they gave spots to these 2: Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and Gotham Knights, while showing story trailers that further explain each game's premise, like the Suicide Squad being tasked in hunting a mind-controlled Justice League, and the remaining Bat family unraveling the conspiracy that is the Court of Owls. The event also emphasized that both of these games are slated to release in 2022 at an undetermined time. Grown. Considering Gotham Knights was originally slated to come out in 2021 and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was originally teased with a 2022 release window, it is safe to assume Gotham Knights will absolutely release in 2022, with Studio WB Montreal not releasing a single game for almost 9 years since 2013's Batman Arkham Origins, and Suicide Squad having the potential to slip to 2023, assuming it's not ready, or DC realizing releasing 2 DC games in the same year risk cannibalizing each other. I cannot believe none of those games had like a solid release date after being in the second event where they only showed a year. I was like, I was baffled. I was like, I bet Gotham Knights was gonna have at least a release, considering we were supposed to play it this year. It's been in development for a while.
Yeah. I don't know what they had to do. Either they had to go back and fix certain things that really slowed them down. I'm definitely more excited about Gotham Knights still. I know almost nothing about the Court of Owls outside of exactly like them being some of the higher ups of Gotham. But I love the concept of it, and I love the aesthetic. Love the masks.
If you can read the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo run from early New 52 that introduced the Court of Owls, that's some top tier Batman content. And
I'll ask y'all on the messenger to find like exact titles.
Yeah, I read some of it, like as much as I could find, because sometimes you can find comics, sometimes in stands, and like there were some libraries back when I was in college that I would like Barnes and Nobles that have them, and I would just pick them and read them. But obviously, you can find them at the freecomicbook.com or whatever thing that is.
Read comic books online.
Online.com. Even though if you want to support comic book creators, you should buy them at Comixology.
I say try it out on there and then go buy them.
Yes. I would say like watching Gotham Knights, like I think it's a little bittersweet that they're finally doing a Court of Owls thing in a game, but it's without Batman. That's
True.
like because that's the whole premise of Gotham Knights. Like Batman died, allegedly, quote unquote.
Yeah,
Like that's
that's
all.
not bad.
Yeah, that's always a. And I also find it funny that they're doing a Batman died after Arkham Knight, despite this game's not being at all in the same universe, even though it could have been
No.
easy. Which is funny that they said like Rocksteady that's doing Suicide Squad. They said that game takes place in the Arkham universe, and they did a cheeky note at the beginning with like almost the exact same intro to Arkham
I
Asylum.
saw that. I thought that was
Despite
kind of neat.
yeah, despite the tone being definitely more Sunset Overdrive, like more funny, like more
Hmm.
over the top. Uh, I just found that I was like, yeah, it's a. I wish this was a Batman game against the Court of Owls, but we also have never had a whatchamacallit, a
Bad family.
Nightwing, yeah, Bat Family Nightwing headline game. So even though you can play as Nightwing in the Arkham games, like in specific instances or in the
Yeah.
challenges, uh, this is the first time you're gonna have like a game headlined by the Robins, like the Robins basically, because Jason Todd is there and Batgirl, and it's a co-op game, optionally. So that
Yeah.
should.
So I wanted to ask some context. What kind of a game is Gotham Knights supposed to be? Because it's like, is it Arkham style still
It
with
still
like heavy
looks.
single player aspects?
It looks like it still has the skeleton of the Arkham games. If you look at the trailer they revealed last year, they actually had a gameplay reveal. It's supposed to be that, but with co-op. You can have one two player co-op is the max you can have, and if
Yeah.
it's not co-op, you always have like a companion with you. That's why you always see some characters together. But the combat is supposed to be similar to Arkham, but enemies now have like health levels, like the RPG-ness that like infects everything these days. So
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about that side of it. I do like the idea of being able to play with friends, but I feel like that's never going to happen because people like you and me, that just doesn't really happen very often anymore.
I mean,
I know
we
you and
have
me can
now.
play
Yeah,
together,
we can play
but
together. We can stream it like we're doing with Halo. You can watch
that is
the
true.
Halo streams that we've been doing.
I'm gonna give you the credit for that. But in the context of general adult audiences, I don't appreciate when they almost like borderline lock content behind the requirement of co-op
Mm-hmm.
because it's very difficult to find that. Just like how we've been seeing the high player counts required for certain multiplayer games out here
Mm-hmm.
is shooting themselves in the foot. Not to mention the whole idea of having to play certain games that I don't have a very good ability to reach out to other people or the time to cultivate those kind of relationships. And I know anybody else with a professional adult life, they don't have that either.
Yeah, from I can agree with that. Like I have been thankful that I found like a core group that I can play like Destiny with from like my college years and onwards.
Poor group.
Or group, yeah. And I
Regularly
haven't.
play.
Yeah, no, and I have other friends like even from here. Like I found this like Hispanic clan for Destiny. I'm not part of their clan, but they
Yeah.
kind of like just grab me in because I'm a Latino playing Destiny, and there's like
Yeah.
a group from like Argentina, Mexico, Salvador.
That's
like,
awesome.
so I've been wanting to like bring you in, but it's like some of them don't speak English. I was like, that's gonna be
Yeah.
bad experience for you because they know how to raid real quickly. But like I don't have a group that plays like Warzone. Like my brother has his core group and he competes. I
Right.
don't know anyone else that plays Marvel's Avengers. I would love to do like some of the higher end content of that game because I enjoy that game a lot. So
Yeah.
I get it. They've said that you can play all these games completely by yourself. That's not gonna be a problem. It's like it's optional co-op. They're not service games. They specifically
That's good,
these are not service games. So even though like Suicide Squad, when it was revealed, some of the language that it used kind of made it seem like it was gonna try to go the road of Avengers with like the 4 different characters, and because that can be a 4-player co-op game, but we haven't seen gameplay yet. We don't even
Right.
know if it's like a brawler, if it's a shooter, a looter. We don't know yet. So that's why I feel that Suicide Squad game could be pushed because we haven't really seen gameplay. With Gotham Knights, we saw gameplay like last year because we were supposed to play it this year. So
Mhm.
I just hope I get to play. I just hope I get to play it soon. I want
Yeah.
a Batman game or
Um,
like
I
a DC game.
hot take. we should have regular demos be a thing again.
Absolutely.
I
Or like
mean,
what we
we've
talked
been
about.
getting hit with that recently with our Stranger of Paradise and some
Mhm.
other things going on. That's been fantastic to like get a good feel of a game, and
Yes.
I feel like that hasn't been a thing for the last decade or so.
And obviously, like demos are always a catch-22 or like a 50-50. There's some people that you play the demo and then it will completely what you might call it, it would like, I lost my train of thought. Let me
Talking about like the Resident Evil kind of demos.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like, because my brother was texting me and I was looking at his text. He oh my god, I hate when I multitask. Yeah, I finally have a frame for it here. Stranger of Paradise, like for example, it's 50-50. Some people can come out of it completely liking it. Some people can come out completely hating it. And that's always the risk. So I think that's why they didn't. They kind of stopped trying to do demos, because there's always that risk. I will say, Batman Arkham Asylum had a demo that completely sold me on the game back in 2009. Same as the Forza Unleashed demo that I played over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, dude, the Forza Unleashed demo.
Yeah,
I played that thing constantly. That like clip show they had after you beat the demo of like
hype.
What's coming for you. I was like, oh my goodness, just take me. I remember being more hyped about that than just about anything else. Maybe Halo 3.
Yes.
I think overall it's a good thing, because so many people out there are not going to play games until way later after release. That's just the fact of the matter. Very few in the grand scheme of the industry are going to pick it up day one within the first week. It's always about those reviews and following up with stuff like that. If we have a demo, I think it gives a lot of people that opportunity to move up their purchase.
Yeah, and I remember what I was gonna say. Remember, was it last week or 2 weeks ago that we talked about the PSN trials that already happened in the UK?
I think that might have been last week.
Yeah, but so whenever we talked about that, days just kind of blend together right now. Really maybe that could be, if people don't want to do demos, because the problem with doing a demo is that you have to carve out a specific slice of a game, and it's kind of like what happens with E3. Like, you see developers, if you see behind the scenes documentaries, doing a demo is like, it's not just like slicing. It's like you have the game and just let's bring the game and just cut it here. No, they have to like do a build that it's a demo. So that takes sometimes resources away, and game development has become harder. So that's why, like, maybe some demos don't have it. And like in the Stranger of Paradise case, they wanted that because they needed the feedback. They're specifically like, this is the only few times that I see a demo actually be called a demo, even just trial version, that even had its trial. After you finish the trial, you press square and there's like the survey, and they literally ask you everything, like at granular detail, because they want to keep tuning that thing until the end. You saw some tuning from the original demo that was corrupted at E3 to the one that you and I played, and just from there it's like, yeah, they're actually implementing feedback, but they're still implementing feedback. So I think having demos that are not like complete slices, but more like a dev tool of, what do you think of this, kind of like actual betas should be. That's what's funny. You release a beta and they're basically demos. They're just called beta because they just sound cool,
right?
Even though beta is like supposed to be a very early part of the game, that there's many days ahead of development, and the beta term has just been effed.
I think it's just like how words lose their meaning and gain new meaning as the generations go on, where people don't use the word literally for literal things anymore. It's like an enhancer to whatever they're saying. And I think it's kind of a similar thing. People now understand that beta means I can play it.
Mm-hmm.
Demo used to mean I can play it, and now means something slightly different that I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what a lot of people think of it as, but every time I see one, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm just going to go off and do this other thing now. But I think especially betas are used in the multiplayer context a lot to test servers and other things. I think people think that betas are more finished than they actually are, because a lot of it is because the game is already all together and they just want to test player counts and strengths.
And that's the thing, like I mentioned it to you during our Battlefield rant from last week.
Mhm.
Like when you release something that's just a month out and you call it a beta, that is a complete bald-faced lie, because because that should just be called a technical tech test. It's why the Halo flights, I have massive respect for them, because not only were they technically solid, they never called it beta. They just called it technical tests, because they were very open about it just being like stressing the servers.
I think in reality, though, it doesn't really matter what it actually means. It just means what they want the customer to understand it as.
Yeah.
And I think it's just another matter of, like, on the meta side of things, people are understanding words differently nowadays.
They are misrepresenting what beta actually means in game development and have weaponized that for early access, like to kind of incentivize more players to play it. Because when you hear the word beta, then it's like, oh my god, we're playing this very early.
Yeah.
That's how betas used to be. Even Halo 5, for example, had a beta that was 8 months out. That was a beta.
Gosh.
Yeah, you played the Halo 5 beta in December 2014. That game came out in October 2015.
Good lord.
That one is the true example of a beta, because then you knew, okay, everything that they're doing here, they have enough time to implement that. The whole beta thing completely broke down with Fallout 76 when they released the beta 2 weeks before the game came out and did the bald-faced lie that, don't worry, it's like, this is not what the game is, and the game was exactly like that, just as broken. So that's why I always tell you, don't believe when they say, oh, this is an old build, if we're too close to release date. So
that's true. I do have a few gaps in some of my examples with those. I wanted to make a slight mention of what you were talking about with technical tests. I remember a specific example of, not only it was like a beta for Ghost Recon Wildlands. They didn't call it that. They called it KOZ technical test. No idea what that means. But then nobody really played it or did anything about it, because technical test sounds a lot different than what people have come to understand the whole concept of beta is.
Because it got weaponized. The term beta has been weaponized now.
And talk about another thing that's been weaponized: early access. That is putting a game in hostage situation, saying pay for this and eventually we might finish making it.
Yeah.
There's been good examples of it, but
I would say, like, I'm not as mad as early access in a way, especially in the PC scene, because it has been exactly what it has been. I have more problem with some games actually releasing as $60 early access games, i.e. Battlefield 5, that launches with complete content missing that they're gonna add over time. That is actual early access, but they don't sell it as early access despite being there. That's what's funny, is like the whole service, the games as a service thing, some developers try to cop out and be like, no, we're just adding things over time.
Yeah.
Because this is a service game. When the actual reality is that, no, we are not done yet. We can't delay this. We have to release this now. But we're not gonna call it early access, because there's a dirty connotation to early access, because a game is not finished. But we can't say it's early access because we want to sell this at $60. So that's been one big problem with service games.
True. And just to, like, bring us full circle, if they're doing any of this stuff, especially for looter kind of games, I am really hoping they're not going to go that route with Gotham Knights specifically, for one thing. I'm curious to see what they're doing with Suicide Squad. I'm for one tired of the whole evil Justice League, but I will say I like that they're doing something different. It seems they've got Brainiac showing up. At the very end, they had Wonder Woman fighting Superman, so clearly it's not just the Suicide Squad, but maybe like slowly they get this unified effort together. Last thing I wanted to mention is their use of Amanda Waller's voice actress slash face.
Deborah Wilson.
I love the lady. If you ever happen to watch this, I love your acting. You were fantastic in Jedi Fallen Order.
And Wolfenstein, the new Colossus.
That was her. Okay, yeah, fantastic. please work with your face molding people to just do something about the bug-eyedness that comes out. I know her as a person, she looks like a human, but every time they put her in a game, she just has these wild bug eyes.
Yeah.
And she just stares into your soul.
Yeah, and it's like it's not her fault. That's exactly, it's the people that mold her face, and that's why I feel it would be better for her to just provide her voice instead of just like the actual facial feature, because
or use it as an inspiration and then stylize.
So, Sabathun from Destiny 2. That's Deborah Wilson. So she has a great voice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
and then, I mean, we'll talk about another time, but the idea of celebrities and voice acting, I'm sure we can touch on that another day. But
in the topic for the other section of the show, but let's not get too.
Yeah, we're not going to get off on that. I just wanted to let that last moment, because we were still on the DC thing. And do you have any last things before we want to jump forward?
Speaking of demos, I think it would behoove Warner Montreal to release a demo for Gotham Knights, because let's not forget, like, Arkham Origins, not a very beloved game other than some of the people that love elements from it. So so I think a demo for that one, beta, whatever you want to call it, like a way for people to try it would do enough to engender a lot of goodwill for that game. Same with Suicide Squad. If especially it's going to be a multiplayer game, they should do like previews. They shouldn't just release that thing into the wild with us not being able to play it in whatever terminology they put it out. So I hope they do that. And Gotham Knights, if you're releasing in 2022, don't release in January, February, or March, please. If that happens, it's gonna be suicidal.
Hate the hit. Move on.
Yes.
Please.
And moving on, number 3. After teasing they would have won at their last big Nintendo Direct, Nintendo held their Animal Crossing centric Direct last week, where they detailed the additions to the game coming with their big 2.0 patch, and also revealed a DLC pack for the game called Happy Home Paradise, which is slated to release in November 5th, 2022. Editorial note, the same day as Call of Duty Vanguard. Lol. More notable, yeah.
You said 2022?
I'm sorry, 2021, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we clarified that.
Yes, I misread there. Yeah, it's coming out this year.
Okay,
so
cool.
The same day as Call of Duty Vanguard.
I was like, gosh, we gotta wait that long for Animal Crossing? What the heck?
Yes.
Yeah.
More notable, however, is the fact that they announced this 2.0 patch and DLC are meant to be the final content update for Animal Crossing New Horizons, bringing a relatively quick end to the smash hit from 2020. Remember, that game has sold like 30 million copies and it's only been out for a year. That helped so many people cope with the beginning of quarantine in the pandemic last year.
Amen to that.
And continued the trend of Nintendo having games that could essentially be service titles, i.e. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Super Mario Maker 2, by receiving a stop date to their support despite their nature. The DLC is going to retail for $24.99, as well as an additional option that's in the next story. Before I move to that, Animal Crossing is coming to an end, Paul. At least this version of Animal Crossing. That sucks.
Probably just gonna like resell it to us again or something, honestly. I wish that they had continued stuff like that, especially with how big of a success it was. You just make stuff up, put stuff in the game, use old assets, doesn't really matter. But like when you have that many people that bought that game, that is a huge market to dive into. Even if you do like cheap random stuff for the next year or whatever, I mean, if this screams to me that they have something else going on, or they just really don't want to deal with Animal Crossing anymore.
I think it's Nintendo being Nintendo. They just don't remember, Nintendo's gonna do what Nintendo loves doing, and they see that games as a service trend, games that can live for a while and you can keep supporting, and they don't want to jump into that trend despite having many games that could fit in that. I didn't even put it here. Mario Kart 8. Why didn't they keep releasing more tracks? Why didn't keep releasing more characters? Especially the Switch version of Mario Kart was just the Wii U version, basically a Game of the Year edition with everything just packed in. And that game just keeps selling. That's what's so hilarious. It's like, and that's the thing, Nintendo fans are just gonna give them money for everything because they can. It's Stockholm syndrome with Nintendo. They can keep abusing, like Nintendo can keep abusing their fans, and their fans are gonna be like, Mar, like especially with the next thing that we're gonna talk about.
Uh,
Number 4. So very sneakily, Nintendo inserted in their Animal Crossing Direct the pricing detail for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, the add-on that's meant to add Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games to the service later this October. They inserted the pricing details in this Direct because they announced that if you get the expansion pack for the service, it would also include the $25 expansion for Animal Crossing, despite the existing option of buying it by itself, and the N64 Genesis games, all for the price of $49.99 a year, as well as a $79.99 a year for the family plan. This is a whooping price increase from the base Switch Online service that gives you the ability to play online games, store some games to the cloud, some, not all of them, and play a selected curated list of NES and SNES games, which was $19.99 a year and $34.99 for the family plan.
Nintendo is gonna do what Nintendo is going to do.
They're
This
going
situation, it's not good.
No. When I saw that, I wanted to tear my hair out. I was like, I'll give them to them. They have balls. They absolutely have
So many.
the biggest balls I've ever seen. Maybe not blue balls, but maybe red balls. Because I cannot believe who in their right mind, they cheekily put this here. Because imagine like if you try to like justify this price. It's like, oh, I was gonna buy the DLC for Animal Crossing anyway. Oh, what's that? It's already included there? Oh, so that means it's just $5 extra for the N64 games. It's all together, despite the fact that you're renting the DLC from them.
Yeah, because to clarify, if you stop having the expanded pass, you no longer have the DLC.
You will
for
have to
Animal
buy it.
Crossing.
Yeah.
You're not purchasing it in that
Yeah.
price.
You're
renting.
renting it from them. And the N64 is so easily emulated these days. You can get like Dolphin emulators, OpenEMU, all of this. And what an insult that they say that a system where you can't even chat online unless you have your phone with you, that you have to like download the app and connect some weird bondoogle thing to be able to chat. Now it's
Ubisoft.
asking
Now
50.
Nintendo's finally got you dropping it.
Yeah. No, I just have to call them that. It's like Nintendo's games, amazing. Metroid, I love. I will not tell them about the business decisions. This was the probably the low point for me because just the audacity. And that's the thing. I mentioned Stockholm Syndrome. In their audacity, they're gonna keep like driving that metal thing up everyone's butt. I'm not gonna say what it is, but you can imagine what it is. And then they're gonna keep that abuse going. But everyone, all the diehards, gonna be, give me more. Nintendo's the best. They can never do wrong. Them. Like literally, it's like that's. I hate that they're gonna, and I tell you, they're gonna get away with this. This is insanity. And to me, the worst part was that if they had just been like, no, this is a special price that you can get if you want to include the Animal Crossing thing. That's the thing. I don't have Animal Crossing. I'm never buying Animal Crossing because that's not my kind of game. I'm glad that they didn't need my money because they made like $30 million, like 30 million copies sold just in a year, which is insanity. If they had just been like, okay, if you don't want the expansion pass, this is going to be $30 at the very least for all of this. But the fact that this is now the only way you can play the N64 games, that you're getting this expansion no matter what.
Yeah.
It's I couldn't believe it. I was excited to be able to play it because I was like, there's no way for me to like currently my computer doesn't have the emulators. I kind of want to play Yoshi's Story again. Ocarina of Time, I played it on my Wii that I connected earlier this year, but this is going to enhance the game because they're doing the enhancements they did to Mario 64 on the 3D All-Stars collection. They're doing that for the N64 games. I could play that, and then I'll play Majora's Mask. I'm now at the point where I'm like, I'll wait now until there's more games added to that thing, because let's not forget, only 9 N64 games. Only 9.
They're vastly overvaluing what we are willing to pay for the average crew. We're not talking about the fanboys, because as we've established, they're going to buy literally anything
because they have Stockholm syndrome.
They'll be fine with it.
So-
I almost don't want to blame them, because that's having a counselor for a wife is many benefits. One thing that you learn about that is the concept and symptoms of abuse. This is literally emotional abuse, because of what they're doing is they're showing you, I forget the term, but there's a concept of showing love at certain random times, and it tricks you into thinking that you are in a good relationship. Unfortunately, well, all it does is it lets you discount all of the bad things, because they do this one good thing and they're like, but look, Nintendo re-released some of these games that we don't have access to anymore. They gave us Skyward Sword, guys. They've been doing all of these amazing things for indie games and making it so easy for us to travel with our game systems. Well, yeah, but that doesn't discount the fact that they've been doing some really predatory practices. They have a theme park now.
Yeah.
They don't get sympathy anymore.
No.
Once you have your own theme park, you can make fun of them for anything. Looking at you, JK.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but
Oh,
yes,
man, yes.
I'm calling Nintendo out for actually being an abuser and threatening people with what they're doing right now.
No, not only that. Let's remember, they released a $25 shortcut for Skyward Sword. So
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We're not getting into
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's the thing. I got mad over that. See, that this is why people should speak about these shitty practices, because that's where it gets you. They are abusing your nostalgia, because that's the one thing that I cannot believe is it's like they are weaponizing the fact that people grew up with all these games. They're just gonna like tax you to hell and high water, even though you can literally download an emulator because these games are not being sold. If they had actually given the option for you to be able to individually piecemeal buy this stuff, I would have had more respect over the asinine idea of paying $50 for the shittiest online service in the planet. Because let's not forget, by $10 more, you get the PS Plus or Xbox Live. Way superior services. And if you're not even doing Xbox Live, let's go to Game Pass for $10 more. You get a Game Pass for a full year. Maybe not Ultimate, but you get Game Pass that has games that run the gamut from old stuff to new stuff. And this is just N64 and let's just say it like this. Genesis is just being added to try to say, but look, we added all Genesis games. No, it's like, who cares? They're just adding just to say, because we added all this. This is how all of that should raise the price triple what it was. It's, oh man.
It's messed up. That's simply all it is in the end, honestly. It's genuinely messed up. Just like you said, the comparison of all that. I mean, PlayStation Network, you get Party Chat, you get all your stuff, you get 2 free games at least every month.
And now 3.
Game Pass, you get hundreds of library of hundreds of games, literally, for the price that you pay for that. And Nintendo's out here like, yeah, you get like 9 games. For
and the worst part is that I don't think there's a worse fan base than Nintendo fan base, because they literally defend everything. I, in this show, had to rake every company to the coals because it's fun to do that when they F up. Sure. Yeah, I already want explicit here. I'm gonna bleeping that. And
just remember it.
Yes, no, I always bleep it. It's in there in post process. But it's like they can do no wrong. And you see all this. I saw this insane take of someone be like, "Oh yeah, if you like break it down, this is less than a Starbucks cup costs you." Like, there's asinine people going all the way to find any kind of like comparison to justify this atrocity. You don't see that everywhere. Like, you don't see it with the other ones. So it's like, oh man, Nintendo's the worst, and it sucks that their games are so good.
And the world still spins.
Yeah, and the world still spins, exactly. Number 5, the good thing is, For the last 33 months, since November 2018, the Nintendo Switch has been the number one selling console in the United States, month after month, always beating PlayStation and Xbox consecutively. 33 months. However, the NPD group revealed that on September 2021, the streak was officially broken, as the PlayStation 5 has taken top honors for the single month. Considering the console has been heavily supply constrained, even though at this point in its life cycle it's outpacing its predecessor, it finally overtook the Nintendo Switch. That's been like that king over there, even though the other two are fighting down here.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this a sign that people that have been fretting the lack of a next-gen console are going to have an easier time acquiring one now? Anecdotally, I helped a friend get a PS5 through the PSQ that they revealed.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was like, I'll help you. Let's see. I already have mine, so and then eventually we got in, and he got it. He got it today. So I think it's getting easier.
It sounds like it is. More and more of my friends, my core group that plays Rainbow Six, I think out of all of them, I think maybe only one does not have the PS5 at this point. And that's 5 people, all of which very different variations of life position and monetary capability. Most of them are able to get it now, so I think it's getting easier and easier for people to find it in more stable ways, even though you're not able to maybe like walk in and just find one on the shelf. What's up?
And as an aside, check your email if you haven't had a PS5. Sony sent an email saying, put your PSN here, we're putting you on a queue now, so we can guarantee you a console.
That's cool.
What they started doing that back in like September, October of last year. Me and my brother signed up for it. We never got one, like an invitation. Yeah. And because when they do the PSQs, sometimes they open ones to ones that had signed up for it. So they take like priority access, and then they open the floodgates with what's left, and it's luck of the draw. So if you still want a PS5 and you don't want to follow the YouTube accounts like Jake Randall and all that do all this, they keep track of when there's like restocks everywhere and have all this strict for you to get it and blah blah blah. Like, it seems like they are slowly getting their supply ready and right on time, because this is the holiday. This is when you have to hit more.
About time.
Check your email, sign up for that if you want a PS5. I'll say this, after the whole thing we just read about Nintendo, I'm glad they got knocked out of the top throne right now, because that's the kind of
now,
yeah, at least for now. It may go back again. I mean, the Nintendo Switch OLED released this month. I bet you top dollar that thing's going to knock the PS5 down again from number one right now in October. Especially
I hope it doesn't,
Metroid.
but it probably will.
Yeah, it will. So this is the kind of things that when you knock some people off its pedestal, you don't let them abuse you.
True.
Final story in number 6. Also broke today. The NPD also released the top game sellers for the month of September. Here's the list. Coming in at number 1, Madden NFL 22. Coming in at number 2, FIFA 22. Number 3, NBA 2K22. Number 4, Tales of Arise. Number 5, Diablo 2 Resurrected. Number 6, Deathloop. Number 7, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 8, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 9, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 10, Life is Strange True Colors. Number 11, Mario Kart 8. Number 12, Diablo Prime Evil Collection. Number 13, Sonic Colors Ultimate. Number 14, Minecraft. Number 15, WarioWare Get It Together. Number 16, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 17, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 18, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 19, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And number 20, Mortal Kombat 11. Notable stuff from like this list. Even though EA should feel happy taking the 2 top spots with Madden NFL 22 and FIFA 22, even though it came, despite coming in at number 3, NBA 2K22 was on PSN the number 1 game of the month. And since 2K doesn't share digital data on NPD, you can take it to the bank. It was the actual best-selling game of September. Tales of Arise, and sold way higher than expected. And
biggest surprise for me.
As the best-selling non-sport retail game. Diablo 2 Resurrected, selling in the top 5, waving off all the controversy surrounding Activision Blizzard, showing sometimes those things don't matter, and boding well for Call of Duty Vanguard. Deathloop coming in at number 6 is impressive, as it plays in the top 10 when previous Arcane games didn't. Like Prey and Dishonored 2 were the last 2. They were like in the bottom, like at the 20. That's bad. Like for first month sales. Yeah, especially if you're just coming out. And also a reminder, it was an exclusive in a supply constrained system, so it also placed number 2 on the PSN like top downloads, so pretty good.
With a PC port that was trash.
Exactly. So Sony should feel happy at the retail and digital legs of Ghost of Tsushima. So over here, like Ghost of Tsushima is number 8 on retail. It was number 6 on PSN, the director's cut. And Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was number 8 in PSN, and it's number 9 here in retail. Death Stranding director's cut, missing the retail list completely. However, it placed number 9 on the PSN top games. Top 10 over there, it's sold these. Like, Sony should be happy if a game in the top 10 in their they receive that money.
Yeah.
So, Life is Strange True Colors should feel pride with their sales considering the kind of series it is.
Big surprise as well.
Yeah,
that
and
used to be like niche.
Yeah, very niche, and it scored number 10 on the PSN top downloads also. So it's funny, it was 10-10 in both. WarioWare Get It Together came in softer than fans would like. A Nintendo game coming in at number 15. That's like, and we don't have news about digital because Nintendo doesn't share digital data on the NPD. So until they release the numbers in their very transparent numbers that they have in the website that you can check right now, it's like nintendo.com.jp. But you can Google Nintendo sales figures, you'll see the games there. So we'll know what Wario's true sales were about. At 15, not so good. Despite also coming in soft, it stings to see the abysmal Sonic Colors Ultimate outselling Wario. That really sucks.
That's really funny, honestly.
that really sucks.
We've seen the cutscenes of Sonic Colors Ultimate
on the Switch, especially.
If y'all haven't, please do.
Oh my God.
It might give you a seizure, though.
Yeah, epilepsy aware with those. Really, really bad. But again, Sonic, he still pushes it a little up. He's still beneath 10, you're selling soft. If you're wondering why Kena Bridge of Spears is nowhere in the NPD, it was a digital only release when it came out in September. A physical release is coming out next month, and it scored number 3 on the PSN top downloads, right behind Deathloop and NBA 2K22. That's pretty good.
And it came out late September.
Yes, so I'm happy for those guys. Anything else you want to like note from this like list here?
I just want to mention how impressed I am with Tales of Arise. That's definitely going to be a holiday pickup, especially if I've picked up Metroid Dread now. That might be my next choice. I might ask for that one. I'm
guarantee we'll have a sale also because it's not a Nintendo game. So
yes, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, Ghost of Tsushima and Miles Morales. I love that they're just continuing to sell really well. Do we know if Ghost of Tsushima is that like mixed in with its director's cut sales? Or
in the right now you can only buy director's cut. As of right now, like the normal edition has been they discontinued because buying a new copy of because the new entry, like buying a new copy of Ghost of Tsushima automatically is a director's cut, whereas on PS4 and PS5, and there's a chance it's on both. That game has been laggy. I mean, Last of Us is not even here, so it shows you that Ghost of Tsushima has had legs. Because even though director's cut is basically a re-release, it's just a DLC. The fact it charted at 8, that's pretty good.
Something else that I would like to point out is, or maybe not point out, but maybe we can keep an eye on, is the longevity sales of the Ghost of Tsushima versus Last of Us 2, because we were talking about that back when Last of Us 2 kind of came out and how it outsold Ghost of Tsushima by a decent margin. But I'm wondering if a lot of that was like due to the controversy, it had high sales and then dropped off, whereas Ghost of Tsushima is lower, but it's lasting a lot longer. So and clearly staying in the minds of people that are playing it.
I know Sony was very proud at the because what was notable is that, remember, Last of Us Part 2 sequel to one of the best-selling PlayStation exclusives of all time.
Yeah. And
also an exclusive that was crowned the best game of that generation, like in Metacritic and many circles. So it had kind of that inherent hype going in. Ghost of Tsushima, new franchise. And it still was the fastest-selling new franchise for Sony in that first month. Even though it wasn't the first month sales behemoth that it was Last of Us, it really, like, Ghost of Tsushima is like notorious for resonating really well with players, even more than like critics. In fact, like critics had to readjust their scores when they came to director's cut and gave it higher than before, because it was like they kind of got that, they underestimated how popular Tsushima was. It's not my favorite, but I enjoyed Tsushima a lot.
Yeah, and that's all we really need. One thing I wanted to point out was the crazy changing of the guard between your PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, and signifying it with about PlayStation 4's release. How those that carried over from that initial stage and wave are almost completely gone, and now it's a completely different line of mascots, for lack of a better word.
And not only that, like Ghost of Tsushima is a pleasing game to look at.
Yeah,
like absolutely pleasing game to look, especially like, even though I would say the PS5 specific version is not that huge of a leap from the PS4 version, you can still like play that. That's still one of the prettiest games, like just from an art and color perspective, that makes you feel like you lose yourself in a magical world, even though it's not a magical setting per se. It feels magical, and I feel that's what has kept this game alive, like with legs. That's what's funny, is like some like developers both love a game that sells a lot initially, because there's usual precedence that you're always going to make most of your sales at the beginning, but then you also have to be proud of a leggy game, kind of like a leggy movie, like a movie that opened huge, maybe dipped in the second week, but has kept like making money throughout. That's how some movies, without you knowing, that's how they reach $1 billion sometimes. So and the Spider-Man Miles Morales thing, I bet you know why it's always here, because anecdotally that's the game everyone always buys with their PS5. It's always Miles Morales and something else, so that's why Miles Morales has always kept there, and good, like, and Sony should be happy for that, especially being more of a budget title.
One thing though is back at release, Miles Morales was one of like only 2 real PlayStation 5 exclusives. The fact that it's still up there,
and not really, because it was also on PS4.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a fair point actually, but I also would say that a lot of people didn't know that, because I didn't when it released.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think a lot the just say, oh well, if it's on the other thing, I'm just gonna wait till I get the new thing anyway.
This is a complete anecdote that because they usually the whole excuse of why they're going with they're sticking with this cross generation releases now, with like God of War coming up and Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon, is because it's like, yeah, obviously the console is supply constrained. There's like almost 120 million PS4 sold, so they're not going to. It's like, you would be foolish to like ignore all those 120 people, because there's a likelihood a lot of them are gonna buy your game. However, the sales for Miles Morales, there's Benji Sales, this analyst that I follow, he's a really cool guy. He saw that in the breakdowns that he like found 5-1 more people are buying it on PS5 than the PS4 version.
Makes sense.
So I think it's burning out that if people know there's a better version, they're actually going to gravitate to the better version, despite a bigger install base here. So,
besides that, that's kind of everything that I wanted to mention. I'll point out honorable mentions of Life is Strange, True Colors. I like the concept because it's like not quite weaponizing, but it's pointing out the idea of emotions. And honestly, I don't even remember about the Diablo Primeval collection. Crazy shout out to Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. So I didn't even know what that was. I had to, like, when I wrote it up, I looked it up. That's basically a collection that gives you Diablo 2, Diablo 3, and the Diablo 2 expansions for $60.
All right, shout out to them. Smash Bros. Ultimate selling as good as ever, especially with our lovely boy Sora coming in. Did that happen? Did we talk about that on the podcast?
We did. No, we talked it in the what we've been playing. Sora is coming out next week. And I bet you top dollar that sales of Smash are gonna.
He should be coming out today. It's the 18th.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right,
that
people.
Was the release day.
Yes, people, you can now play as Sora in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I hope you play it, Paul, so you can have some impressions.
Bringing a close to the wild support. DLC support. Last thing I want to mention, kind of shifting to that 6A/B kind of thing. Thank you, Nintendo / Sakurai and everyone working on Smash Bros. Ultimate for bringing us the craziest crossover we will ever see in our lifetime, I think.
That's what's so frustrating about Nintendo, isn't it? The business one makes you feel like the Joker from...
They do the good stuff sometimes.
Exactly.
Like, you know what? I'm not going to thank Nintendo. I'm just going to thank the Smash Bros. Community
and Sakurai.
Sakurai. Just the the crazy level of ability this man had to be able to negotiate all of these people from all of these different developers, all of these different parent companies, and somehow making that crap happen.
And mark my words, when we eventually get NPD results, when we're in November for what October is, Smash is gonna climb from this number because Sora, Kingdom Hearts is a huge seller. That's
People
a huge
that have
seller.
been holding off the whole time will buy just for him.
I would be curious how higher like Smash climbs now that Sora is there, because he's landing right in the October thing. So
yep. But yeah, that's everything for me.
Yeah, and that's everything for the news. So for everyone that's listening in the full episode, right now, this is where we transition to what have we been playing.
How's it going, you pontiferous porpoises? This is your good friend Paul. Some might call me the polar bear, and with me is the boy wonder and the black-haired man himself.
Yes,
Alejandro.
We're getting you more regularly, Zach.
I had come up with nicknames for everybody, and in the moment I panicked and forgot all of it. So how are y'all doing today?
It's raining over here.
Really?
Big rain, yeah.
Oh shoot. Man, it's been a big week for news, but we're not here for news today. We're here for fun things and things that we've been playing. We've been playing some interesting stuff, haven't we, everybody?
We can say so.
I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah, I find that every week I'm a little surprised by each time we try to play something individual, despite the fact that we're three different people completely. Every once in a while, the stars can align and we end up all playing the same thing at once, which adds to some very good discussion time, which I am very much hoping for today. You'll find out exactly what that is later. But
or you probably saw the thumbnail, so you already know what we have all been playing. So
actually, that's a good point. They might have looked at the title and the thumbnail, and they'd already know. In which case, curse you, future Paul, for ruining my setup.
I'm gonna say this: like, I feel this is a good do-over because, in a way, through last week's, because Zach came in wanting to talk Kena, and we were going to all talk about Kena. And
Alejandro, I wasn't gonna mention it.
We
You're
didn't play,
me
so
right
poor
now.
Zach just had to like be by himself, like. Only
left me high
briefly,
and dry.
Yeah, he left high and dry, but not this time.
Yes, indeed. So, Zach, to catch you up on this one, what we like to do is we'll kind of read through just a quick list, and then we'll slowly take turns talking about a few different things. So, the ones that I have been playing this week, everybody, just kind of housekeeping side of it. I played a little bit of Insurgency Sandstorm again. Still really enjoying the tactical shooter aspect of it on console. I find that it's actually a lot less beautiful on console compared to the PC, so I'm a little sad about that.
And that's the thing, on PC it wasn't even that pretty.
And it was like all right, and sometimes the lighting would really do the game justice, but on console it does look rough a little bit. But I gotta say the bones are there, and I really appreciate what they're doing for a smaller game studio and the cult following that it has. What's up?
I saw that clip you uploaded on Twitter.
That was a random guy I was playing with. I didn't know any of them.
So, like, who screamed?
That was the guy that ran away. He was a very helpful, communicative person running through, and the second he saw that guy, he just split, screaming like a minion. And it was beautiful. I love that moment.
So just to like catch up people about Insurgency Sandstorm, that's kind of like in the Rainbow Six style of like ultra, very realistic shooters, right? Like you die with one hit. Or like with
the original Rainbow Six / Rainbow Six Vegas vibe of your first-person shooter. You have almost no HUD. You have to hold square to look at your magazine, and it's not even like a number. It's just like kind of a not a counter, but like a bar that's partially filled. And you have to kind of guess at how many bullets you have based on everything you've kitted yourself out with. You got to know how many bullets are in there. You die in one shot to the head, 1 or 2 shots to the body, depending on the caliber of weapon that you use, which changes from weapon to weapon. And it really leads itself to this amazing 8 people slowly moving through a city, along alleyways, through a bank, whatever the map is, taking out AI or people depending on the game type you're playing. And it's been immensely fun. Some of the most fun I've had with an FPS this year, honestly.
How much was it? Is it full price?
$40.
Oh, okay.
On console at least. They have other editions, which apparently the console edition, the base console edition, is everything that has come out on PC thus far already on it. So that means like all of the extra maps that have come out, all of the extra weapons are already on there. The only thing you'd have to pay extra for is cosmetics for your person and your guns. From there's also like year 1 and 2 passes of everything else that they plan to come out with, but they have like at least another 2 years of content that they're planning on rolling out for it for consoles. So I'm honestly really impressed with what they're doing. I love it.
I want to try because it's the kind of shooter we rarely see these days.
Absolutely.
Like, that's old school. That's what made the SWAT games, Rainbow Six, even old Ghost Recon, like that kind of hyper realistic, super hardcore, one shot, one kill, like simulator almost.
Yes.
And it's kind of what I was saying. Like I know Insurgency Sandstorm has been like blowing up despite being a 3-year-old game just ported. So
yeah. I'm just as surprised as you are, and finding out that there's even like YouTubers that follow this one game, they make content for it, make like, hey, use this gun over that gun, and there's always discourse going on, which always helps the metrics. And I'm just really surprised at how popular it actually is within its circle.
Yeah, and here's a funny tidbit. This game came out like a month after Battlefield 5, so it took like a lot of momentum back in 2018 because I said Battlefield 5 launched unfinished, so
yeah,
you take all the disgruntled people and you siphon them into this other one, and it works.
And it works. That's literally what a lot of people on like the trailers, they say that they didn't like the Battlefield 2042 beta, and then they bought Insurgency Sandstorm because it literally came out, I think, the same week or the week after. They timed it perfectly.
Yeah, Insurgency is just there to siphon off like disappointment around Battlefield twice now.
And when you only need max 16 people, no, 20 people per player versus player, or just 8 people for player versus AI, you get like a lot out of their player base, because you don't need 128 people for all this stuff. So they're working within their means, and I love it, honestly. Alejandro, I'll let you take the next one. What have you been playing?
All right, you didn't want to talk about the other 2 that you played before I jumped in?
Well, I figured we could kind of like circle through if we wanted to. I'll mention at least that I played Jedi Fallen Order again for the PS5, and the Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition on PS5.
Do you want us to like just say it now?
All right, yeah, I'll just
say
get
it
out
there.
of the way then. So Jedi Fallen Order, PS5, fantastic looking, crisp.
It runs well now.
it runs really well. I had to obviously turn off like the motion blur and all that stuff, but I love the feeling of it. I love the sounds that they got for it. I love running through and turning a corner, and you see like 5 stormtroopers all wet their pants watching you run at them. And I still think, of course, they cheaped out a little bit by not allowing for dismemberment on human enemies, but I mean, I understand, and I've kind of learned to just suspend my disbelief on that one and be like, okay, in my head, that man just got cut clean in half, but I'm just going to roll with it. And that's what Jedi Outcast is for, if I ever really want that.
Or Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah, or Force Unleashed 2, because they do have a little bit of that for the Stormtroopers. Last thing that we mentioned earlier in our news segment was the faces. They still look really janky.
Yeah.
It is one of the worst cases of Uncanny Valley I've seen in a modern game. So I have to give it that knock on the head for that. But I gotta say, everything else about it is fantastic.
Yeah, and that's a funny thing. Like only like Cal and Sarah are like using the actual actors like more directly, because there's the Dark Jedi that you fight at in Dathomir. He's Liam McIntyre, the dude that plays for Zach would know, he plays the Wizard. He plays Weather Wizard in whatchamacallit in The Flash, and he also played Spartacus when he took over the guy that died. He doesn't look like Liam McIntyre. So
Yeah, he does look decent. His hair looks weird because the lighting in that fight has always been all jacked.
Mhm.
Because in cutscenes he looks fine, and then when it goes into the gameplay, his face is like one kind of tone, and his beard is like way lighter, and just doesn't look right for me. It never did. But that's old news. The only other one that didn't look right was our girl that Zach loves. What was her name?
Trilla?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
second
So-
sister.
By
Yeah.
the end of the game, she
Thanks
just
for
looked
doxing me.
a little jack. Hey, I called out Alejandro for that. I said earlier that I wanted Samus to step on me, so we're all gonna equally get bonked on the head
We're all
with the horny
simple.
bat.
We're all
Yes.
simple.
Yeah.
We get smooth brain for the right stuff, let me say. Trilla, that last thing I'll mention is just I know she's supposed to look a little unhinged right at the end because I started my PS5 on my old save, which was on the last planet.
And I will say this is one of the only times that you can just load up your save this
Yes.
quick compared to
gonna
other
mention-
garbage that you have to do on the PS5.
I hit recover my save and I immediately was like, okay, you can continue now. I went, that's it? I was expecting to have to like restart the whole game, but yeah, so that was really fun getting to just play the final mission. And Trilla looked a little freaked out with all of the lighting on her face, and then Sarah looked like garbage.
Mhm.
She is easily the worst. Oh my goodness, she gives me nightmares looking at her. Also, I want to say, quality of life. What is wrong with you people not letting us skip cutscenes nowadays? What is going on with that? This is 2021. I have a life. I need to do things. I don't want to watch all these cutscenes sometimes. Let me move on with my life. Anyway,
Good thing that Stranding lets you, right?
I know. That's thank God for that. The last thing I want to mention before we get into all of the other stuff is Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Now, I had a bit of a I love Devil May Cry. I love the series. I love Devil May Cry 5. It's a fantastic game. Looks
You reviewed it for us 2 years ago.
I reviewed it for all of y'all when that came out and did a whole retrospective on the series. I have a problem. When I put in the special edition after buying it on sale, I figured I was at least going to get a little more of what I have been loving. I realized that the version of the game that I played, the frame rate tanked horribly, and it took me until Alejandro thankfully posted me that article that actually showed the breakdown of what you really want to do with that. I don't understand why they have these options where, hey, you can play it with ray tracing. Okay, I get it. Or the performance. I get it. I'm glad that they kind of simplified that. I understand that better now. What they did was they had ray tracing on plus the performance mode. And I was thinking like, oh, all right, cool. That sounds like a great idea. Don't do that.
Don't do that
No.
if you like frame rate. You do that if you just want the game to be smooth for the combat. The
Yes.
frame rate dips there in a way that it didn't on PS4. I should show you
I
that
think it's
breakdown.
actually worse when it's not locked at 30 by itself, because the fact that it jumps all over the place for a game as snappy as Devil May Cry in general, much less Devil May Cry 5, it's just a horrible experience. I was not enjoying like the first 3 or 4 missions, and I was like, why am I not enjoying this? I've played these early missions like 7 or 8 times now each. And then I realized it by the time I switched to V, which once again, I don't even really know why they included him and changed his combat mechanics so much. I respect them for trying something different. Doesn't work, especially not for a Devil May Cry game. Everything else still stands up as great as possible. You get your nice little alternate costumes with the special edition. And I have yet to touch Virgil because I don't really like Virgil as much. But that's just
Sacrilege. Virgil's the best.
he's just such a dick. He's better than the remake one though, where he literally had an argument with Dante about penis size at one point. So that's neither here nor there. Anyway, that is all I've been playing. I'm hoping I'm gonna give DMC5 another pass, just for the fact that I switched it over and it started playing a lot better after I did that. and we'll see how it goes from there. Alejandro, what have you been playing, sir?
I am at the border of finally finishing my journey of going through literally every Call of Duty campaign that has ever been released. I've played 15 of those this year, like an off time. I'm this close to, yeah. But here's the good thing, because all of them are 5 to 6 hours long. It's easy to go through them. So I'm this close to finishing World War II, because I out of order did Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare earlier this year, so I'm not gonna have to replay that because it's fresh on my mind. So I can't wait, because then I'm gonna do a massive ride of ranking them. Which one's the best one? Which one's the worst one? You'll have to see. Maybe it'll be a topic of conversation here.
So far, there have been a few surprises already.
Yeah, that I've kind of mentioned. Some surprises, other things that are like, I posted the Ben Affleck meme after one of those. Remember the one with him with the cigarette, like looking all disheveled? That's how I felt after one of them. Then you didn't mention it. We've been playing Halo 2.
I didn't mention that.
Yeah.
We are about to finish that series, actually. We've been enjoying that one, haven't we?
Yes, and now that we're nearing the end, Paul, how are you feeling with Halo 2 versus Halo 1? Like, just in this replay.
Honestly, I think I actually do enjoy Halo 2 more than the first one now. Well, you pointed out very well that it starts off so strong with Halo 1, and then it just really drops off after that Flood introduction. And
a lot of backtracking. A lot of reused levels.
Yeah, I did not realize it as much until you mentioned it and pointed it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, we really are just going through the same 3 tunnels over and over again for all of these missions. But 2 had so much more variety. Even if you did backtrack slightly, it was only for like that one mission with the gondola. And even then, that I don't even really count that, because you had the cool elevator sequence underwater and stuff, and all the other things. The boss fight was a little weird with Regret.
You're jumping and just punching him like this.
That was a little strange comparatively for everything else you've done in Halo from then and future. That's like the weirdest thing. But besides that,
yeah. And now like you have a different kind of feel about the Arbiter, right? Because I kind of also pointed it out as like the most interesting story of Halo 2 happens with him. Like
I respect it a lot more for what it did, because it built the world so much more than what you could do with Chief, and I understand it. I wish he didn't have as many missions as he does, but I respect it now, and I appreciate it.
I'm gonna blow your mind. So far, we only played 3 of his.
I know.
He only has 3.
Well,
right now, because we have 2 more
parts,
coming.
They had like multiple parts. There was one of them that felt a little bit longer, but also
which you can catch and stream. Yeah, we had a lot of bugs in the first mission for some reason. That Flood were just like standing there like in a corner. We were like, and then I sniped her. Oh, now we can keep moving. Or that mission, that the last one that we played, where we were like driving that car that.
Oh my gosh.
We just couldn't like.
It just kept killing us.
Like sometimes the Flood would like grab the tank, or you will see the Flood that had like the rocket launcher that would just shoot you. Do you remember that moment? I was like, oh, that went more smooth, and then I just got shotgun in the face. And that was
so beautiful, of just comedic timing on that. You're just like, man, I'm so glad that we went through this. This is going so much faster. And I just watched your character turn and get shotgunned in the face. It's just
Zach, have you seen our Halo 2 stuff? Or have you just like tuned in? You tuned in for Halo 1, right?
Yeah, I tuned in for Halo 1. I caught the first part of Halo 2. I haven't caught the rest of them yet, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's you can now catch the rest of it. It's now on YouTube, and we might be streaming the end of Halo 2 soon. I'll say, because you jumped in Halo 1, you like Zach was the MVP because Paul forgot to like add audio for like our stream for the last one, so it's very awkward that it's just me screaming, and one of those screams Zach just joined in at the perfect moment. I just can't imagine. It's like join in and you scream. What do you hear, Zach? The first thing
I hear you just screaming, ball set.
Yeah, we just can't define how we can call this. So Paul tells him to call him Bubblies. I'm like, nah, I'll just call him Balls.
Bubble Boys.
Bubble Boys.
I called them that. Sometimes I call them jellyfish heads, but it depends.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's.
Or tumors. We should call them like big tumors.
Big
So,
tumors.
and
Okay, tumor.
yeah, it's okay to
Oh my goodness.
yes, and then Kingdom Heart, and then I actually, because Sora was announced, like, was it a week or two ago? And
2 weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks. I was like, I have Kingdom Hearts installed. I haven't played them since I did the whole series in 2018, so I kind of had the hanker and went back to one and played through the beginning at Destiny Island. People, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts, I warn you, the beginning of the first game is beyond awful.
It's so long, too.
It's so long and so awful. It's like so obtuse in what it wants from you. Like that whole grab a fish. How are you supposed to grab a fish? Just try to walk there to the water. Now you have to like run with Riku here. It's like, man, because I remember back in 2018 when I actually bought the collection in 2017, and whatchamacallit, I remember I was like, why do people love this? I remember saying that. I was like, this is appalling. And I remember chatting of all people to PJ. I was like, have you ever played Kingdom Hearts 1? And he was like, I played a little bit. I was like, this sucks. And then he used an old scrap in old caps. He's like, I've been saying that all the time. I was like, I don't get why people have such fandom. And it's until you're in the world. I think it's past the Tarzan world that game's kind of like starts like clicking more.
Because Alice in Wonderland's world is weird, even for Kingdom Hearts standards, compared to like what you actually have to do in that one, where you're like having to gather evidence for the trial that's already rigged anyway, and all it really. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a problem of telling you what is important and what is not important. Even from Destiny Island 1, in the first one, randomly the way you answer certain questions that other NPCs ask you determines your beginning stats. That is a very important thing to hide behind random conversations. I would say that from there it just continues to be weird with like the evidence gathering and other things. But yeah, so that's all I'll really say about that. It really does have to take until after Tarzan's world.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so having to play it, I was like, do I really want to like go through like this awful Alice in Wonderland? And then I know Tarzan's like very confusing, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to have the hanker because I was not going to buy Sora for Smash because I don't play that. Did you any of you buy Sora for Smash, or you haven't touched it?
I'm going to, but I haven't gotten it yet. I kind of forgot how I'm supposed to buy him, honestly. And I haven't touched Smash Bros long enough that I'm like, well, you know what? If I'm free for now, maybe I'll wait until I get the craving to actually buy him and play as him.
All right, and then the last thing I started playing again was Skyward Sword that I stopped back in July after getting a little bored of it in the desert area. Kept making progress for that one. It was, again, that's a game of great peaks and horrible valleys. Like every time you're in the temples, those temples are so good, and then we're just still in the overworld, and the idea of that was this, now that was this, now that was that. Oh, you have to go there, that was this over here. It's like it's complete nonsense how much like they fasten things up in the Wind Waker HD for the Triforce Quest, as far as I know, and that's why I kind of want to play Wind Waker HD if they ever bring it to Switch. Please, Nintendo, I know you have it there. You're holding the collection hostage, and can't believe they just didn't go far enough of like just cutting a bunch of this bullshit dowsing, because there's a really good game in there. The game that some certain people really simp for, but I can't get over just how bad a bunch of
people who are not here to defend it.
Exactly. But I think that like by happenstance, because he's working until 5 p.m. your time. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's the story so charming, like the soundtrack's so good, like that soundtrack overall is like, it's one you want to even own. That's how good a lot of the good parts of that game is, but you just can't get over the bad parts as much as you want.
I want to give you a Twilight Zone style panic moment. Imagine, if you will, a world where Nintendo decides to hold on to Wind Waker and Twilight Princess until it's time for the GameCube's turn to enter the pass that you have to purchase to have access to.
Oh man, you gotta say, yeah, stop it right there. Don't give him any ideas, because you know they are crazy enough to go that way.
That's the next game system that they have. I'm worried.
Yeah,
I'm honestly worried.
I am very worried. If they had the absolute balls of steel to do what they did, like I already talked in our news section, nothing will stop them. I mean, you'll have people buying $50 N64 new controllers, and the $50 thing is spending like $200 to just play Mario Kart 64 again. That's the kind of people they're gouging. They're abusing your nostalgia.
They absolutely are. Zach, why don't you tell us the couple of things that you got, and then we'll see if we can possibly take a bit of a break for a second.
Okay. Yeah, so they said it couldn't be done. They said I was a stupid idiot for even trying it. And while one of those things might be true, I finally beat Bowser's Fury while Bowser was furious for the whole time.
And you got all the stars, like even with all the time him raging.
Yeah, kind of. You can't get all 100 until after you beat the game and then go back in and play it, but I got all the stars that were available to me at that point.
Mm-hmm. It gets really annoying, right? How often it feels like you're taking 10 steps and he gets angry and he's already like raging at you again.
Yeah, I was on Mount Magmeow or whatever the cat punch that one was, and it's all open phase, and he's just constantly hitting me with fire. I had to find this perfect timing where I jump behind an item block at the same exact moment
that he shoots
hit it with fire.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's crazy. Bowser's Fury is crazy.
I've never even I've only seen little clips of Bowser's Fury, so that's actually that sounds terrifying.
It's tough. It's not fun.
What else have you?
It's not a great Mario game in general, using the 3D world for a actually 3D game, but I managed. I survived. I accomplished what I set out to do.
When you mentioned, was it last week that you said that you had started at Bowser's Fury? I went back to kind of, I didn't put it in the list because I barely played it to make it a note here. I went back to Odyssey just to kind of feel that. And yes, it's like this, it's rough going from like Odyssey to Bowser's Fury in the 3D, like having full 3D camera control. And that when it's so limited with that 3D world engine, that wasn't meant for that kind of environment.
It did make me appreciate Odyssey though, so that's nice because I think I used to hate on Odyssey, and now I'm a little bit warmed up to it. Yeah,
I would say that. Yeah, Odyssey is the one when you're not playing it, when you think about it, you think about it in the lesser tier, but when you will go back to it, it's like that game's charming. I would say it's like the kind of games that even when you think it's like not a great Mario game, it's still a great game. That's just Mario. Like I think that's Mario. And I would even go as far to say that Zelda, like Skyward Sword, I still say that's still my least favorite Zelda. But at the good parts kind of makes it a great game in a way. So like even bad Zelda is a good game general. So I know Paul has problems with the controls, so he can get wrap around holding L and right stick to move the camera. He breaks his brain.
I do break my brain a lot, and I struggle with some of these things. But anyway, Zach, why don't you tell us that last thing you got in like 1 minute and 30 seconds?
All right. So I dove deeper into Subnautica Below Zero this week. It actually is very much its own game. It's the same planet, I found out, but it's a completely different section. It's the Arctic section. Okay. So all the fish are different besides the two main ones, the bladderfish and the peeperfish, which you need for food and water, basically. But everything else is a different fish, different enemies, different upgrades for your suits and not suits, but vehicles and different vehicles in general, which has a really big improvement over the first game, which had this massive submarine called the Cyclops that you couldn't go anywhere with because it was too big. It would bump on the environment and break. So this time you get a smaller submarine, which you also had in the first game, but it didn't do much. This one you get the sea truck, and you can add sections to it to make it long as you need it to be.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are going to take a brief break, everybody, and we're going to be right back. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in a minute.
So Zach, anything else you want to say about Subnautica? Since Zoom had to like force us into a break there.
Yeah, it also has the unique feature of a ocean world planet that you can also go on land now. Oh really? Oh yeah, you couldn't, right? You were only in water in the first one, right? Yeah, it's there were two small islands that went on basically just to get vegetables to put in your planters in your sea base. This one actually has environments for you to explore on the land, but it adds the challenge that it's super cold there, and if you're out of water, you'll start to freeze over time. So you have to be up there for quick, short minutes, or you have to find ways to stay warm while you're up there.
Dang. So I'm so terrified about Subnautica. Just the idea of Subnautica. Deep sea is just horrifying to me. I don't know why.
I'll say after a while you get used to it. Like, for one, it's very calm when you're not around sea monsters. It's really peaceful. But eventually you do see them and you learn how to navigate around them. They don't seem so scary anymore.
I just don't know why open space like enthralls me. Like that's what I love about something like No Man's Sky, just like flying around as long as you have fuel and just like going to like embracing deep space or seeing all the wonder that deep sea's kind of like that, but it's just more terrifying. I don't know why. So that was all you played, right?
Yeah.
All right, Paul. So tell me, Paul, what's today's topic?
Today's topic, everybody, is more or less a discussion on the recently released Metroid Dread.
Where we've been playing. Surprisingly.
Just what we have been playing. Somehow, if I'm being entirely honest, I was swayed. I was not planning on buying this at all until Christmas at the earliest.
We talked about that in a few episodes ago.
Yes, we had just talked about that. I feel like such a hypocrite because I was like, no, I'm not gonna get this. This is dumb. I'm not gonna do that. And then here I am saying, well, I've now bought it. We'll see how we're thinking about it.
You're not the only one. I was also that hypocrite. I tell you, I was like, when
it
especially
was a cascading effect.
Yeah, I also wasn't gonna get it until it was gonna be everyone on the podcast talking about it.
So we forced your hand.
Yeah.
Or do you also wanted to kind of like say stuff to PJ's face? Had he been in the show, had he not been working
that
on a
was
Tuesday?
a big part of it. I'll admit, I wanted PJ to be wrong about this game. I didn't.
Yeah, because I'll say obviously he just kept like praising this thing to hell or high water all the time in our chat, like at unreasonable hours in the night. And that's the thing. I didn't buy it because of his praise, because I already know where he stands in most things, especially when it comes to Nintendo. Like, that's like, you always have to know what you have to lower stuff like a couple notches to get what reality is. He has one of his best friends. His name is Jordan. Here's what's funny. He always uses his friend as someone that backs him up. He says the same thing. And then I talk to his friend and he has the exact same opinions that I have. Like yeah, these are things are not so great. So it's so funny. So with Skyward Sword that happened, now with this. But before I say, because I'm the only one that has beat it, I want to hear from your experiences first. So go.
Okay, so I'll start off with my experiences. First things first, I love the colors of it. I know that even though it was coming out close to the OLED edition of the Switch, I was a little concerned that it was going to be a bit washed out comparatively, because I mean that's the whole point of the OLED, is that it gives you so many more colors in the handheld version specifically. But I will say I was really happy about that. I did not like the clip show at the start that tries to catch you up with all that.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what is this PowerPoint presentation?
What is this Star Wars opening crawl but worse?
Exactly. I'm just like, some of these things I had already known. I didn't know anything about the X Parasite. I didn't know anything about like the plot of Metroid Fusion, which is I think what happens to Samus when she gets the stuff on her and the suit has to save her. I feel like they could have made like just a tiny, even like an animatic from something that could have done the process just showing it, rather than like, here's a block of text with like a sort of animated thing that freezes whenever the text shows up. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Felt like it was a little bit cheap of a storytelling mechanic.
Now real quick, do you remember what Kingdom Hearts 3 did to try to catch you up? If you never played the first ones.
I think I skipped that now that I think about it. Was it the same thing where it was like the really long blocks of text?
Not text, actual videos. like
Really?
5 sets of videos before you can even like start. Like you did a little tutorial area, and then there's like all these videos that explains literally everything, despite it being nonsense still.
Wow.
But it's so funny, like seeing these two kind of games that took like 13 to 19 years apart from their last true official entry, how they try to like onboard you. And none of you played Fusion, right? Like none of you.
No. This is my first Metroid game.
Yeah.
And as y'all heard me, my first was Other M, and I never finished that because the CSI scenes were actually what caused me to rage quit, because you had to be pixel perfect on exactly what thing you were looking for to know what was going on, and I couldn't understand it. And after like the 4th one, I was like, forget this, I'm not doing this.
Other M is historically considered a bad game. Like legit. It's like it's rare for you to find a Nintendo game from like their big marquee franchises to be called like bad. Other M is that. It's like when you even say that, it's like people cringe about Other M.
Yeah. So that was my experience. And then way later I watched one of my roommates play, I think, the first Metroid Prime.
Amazing.
And I was
game.
like, oh, okay, cool. So it's like a first-person shooter kind of a thing. And it was way later until I found out that this Metroid is historically a 2D platformer game. I never understood the Metroid side of Metroidvania because I was just like, I don't get it.
It's in the name.
I know, it's in the name. And I'm like, none of these games give me Castlevania feels. That's weird. And who would have thought that it wasn't until like watching speedruns of Super Metroid that I went, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about. And now I definitely understand what you're saying. Let's talk briefly about the map.
Oh yeah, we will. Because oh my god, if you want like anything to feel like an intern just pooped out something in the last week of development and was like, okay, look at that horrible map. Oh my god, like that's just horrendous how you could do a map in a Metroidvania game that's a smudge. And I can imagine you're playing it in like in a big screen, right? It looks even worse in like bigger screen, like big icons, all of that.
Absolutely. Zach, what's your thoughts on this?
So I don't really look at the map. I just pick a direction and I go.
That is a very gutsy move on your part.
It's paid off so far.
Man, I wonder if you just have some good instincts for that, because every time I try to just go pick a direction and go, I just keep hitting like obstacles or blocks, and then like there's not really any benefit to fighting the enemies outside of replenishing things that you've lost fighting the enemies. So I'm like, well, this isn't really like I do fight them as I go through, but I know I don't want to waste my time bursting through like a string of tunnels only to find out that I couldn't get anywhere at the end of it, and then all the way having to make my way all the way back. But
here's the thing, like maps are so important for Metroidvania design, because Metroidvanias are all about exploration, going to the certain rooms, seeing which doors are the ones that you can't open at a certain point until you get like an upgrade and all that. And Metroid games used to have like their maps were simple, they were not super detailed and all that, but at least you had like an idea of like some of the places you haven't gone or not. This one, because it's a bigger kind of Metroid, at a certain point when you open everything and you really want to do that exploration to grab missiles, like, because that's the fun of Metroidvania is when you're exploring and find extra missile tanks and extra energy, that actually helps you to confront some of the later things in the game, because that game can get hard. But when you see that map, it gives me agita, like legit. It's like my heart starts like pouncing, because it's like it's information overload, because there's no way to like, you know how some open world, like there's some games when you pull up a map, there's like legend if you want to like hide this or hide this. Like if you would give that, would have been enough. But my god, that map's horrible.
Or even just a clear emblem that sat in the exact place or room where it was. For instance, a game that does it really well, Hollow Knight. It has the overworlds that you can see, just like the color scheme, the name of it. Then you zoom in, just like in Metroid. But then when you do that, you get a lot of control over everything, and then you can see exactly the little emblems right there. They're different colors. It's very specific, and it's so easy to actually follow. once again making a similarity to Hollow Knight, and kind of a backwards way of finding out about this was that when I played Hollow Knight, it was a game where I could go anywhere, but if I wanted to make progress, it was this specific area. I understood that. Metroid has the desire to funnel me so much that it almost turns it into a linear game sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got to, like, at first the map was kind of sprawling, and I was like, okay, cool, we've got our obstacles, we got our places to go. What I didn't know is that it really wants you to go in a specific direction, in a specific way, and it'll just randomly put up obstacles that don't show up on the map until you go visit them.
Like the fireball sack?
Like the weird fire plant thing. But like that's what was really messing with me, especially going back to the Game Boy Advance era Castlevanias. All it is blue rooms with like little gaps, and if you look for that, you see the gap. You have to sometimes remember whatever ability you need for it, but usually it's something traversal related. So if it's a certain height, you know you can't reach it just by looking at the map. That's surprisingly decent map design for a game that's that old, because at a certain point you're like, well, how am I going to keep track of all these things, all these weird doors? I will appreciate.
That's how Fusion was. Fusion was literally that kind of map also, with the added benefit that in Metroid Fusion they also did what many modern Metroidvanias do, that they put like a red dot and maybe like a far end of the map to kind of give you an idea where you're going. Is like over there. How you're gonna get there, we're not gonna tell you.
Another thing that Hollow Knight does amazing.
Yeah, they took that out for this one because Metroid Dread tries to like be more of a homage to Super Metroid in a way, even though eventually the farther you get in, it feels like a homage to every Metroid that came before it. And at first when I saw that they were not gonna do the point thing that other Metroidvanias was, I was like, oh no, this is gonna suck for people that have never played Metroid and are directionally challenged. Immediately I thought of you, that you've always talked about directionally challenged, because I was like, God damn it, this is like, if he plays this is not gonna, he's not gonna have a good experience. To be fair to Metroid, despite it not having that dot that tells you where to go, it's more subtle in how to funnel to you. Other than the few times that it's very overt, are like, no, you can't go here anymore. Be there, bad.
Realize that like what Zach actually said really helped me out. Because
there's momentum.
Like just. There's like a certain momentum in a direction. If you can feel the flow of where they're trying to put you, it helps you understand that. Because my problem is whenever I get a new ability, I want to look at the map and see all the places that I need to use it. That's usually like the problem solving approach. Metroid Dread does not want you to do that. It wants you to go to a specific obstacle that it wants you to do. Like usually you're going to find a teleportation area that's going to lead you to a specific area of a different part of the map that it wants you to use that ability next. It doesn't want you to go to all of the other areas in your immediate surroundings to use it on that new ability. It just wants you to like kind of progress before it lets you go back to it later. And I think once I realized I needed to stop fighting that, because I was like, well, I got the triple beam thing, I want to go use it on this door over here, but then for whatever reason, like every area is blocked off, kind of leading to that. So that was leading to a lot of frustration. The other thing is the walls that you have to blow up sometimes. I get it when it's like a tunnel and it's like a flat wall that you're like, okay, well, clearly like I can shoot this and it blows up and I go through it. Problem was like that first area that you traverse to, you go right and that's where it is. Left is just like an empty room. There was like no indication for me to actually shoot that, and it wasn't until y'all mentioned that I actually realized that I needed to do it. And the problem is sometimes there's also walls that look identical to that are not able to be blown up. So I wish it was just like a tiny bit more recognizable. Like if it was a specific
like a crevice, like a slight crevice,
like a crack on it or something, like Metal Gear Solid 1 did forever ago. I think just that would have helped translate it to me to be looking out for something like that.
But historically, that's what has kept Metroid from ever like breaking out like as a more mainstream series, because of that kind of thing. Because it's very easy to just give up, because you don't see like any tiny hints of where to go or how to do stuff other than just really experiment and shoot at everything. But have you guys got the bombs yet? Like when you become like a morph ball? Have you gotten the sack? So yeah, then that's another thing that then you start shooting and then nothing happens. Then you will become a ball, like a little ball, like the morph ball, and just put bombs everywhere. If you're stuck in the options, that then it'll open something that you won't even know. But that's kind of what they expect from a Metroid player. And that's how it's been since Super Metroid in 1991. I think that's when it came out to now this. It's like it's very clunky in that way. In a way, other Metroidvanias that were inspired felt better. Like they grew better. Did we lose Paul?
Did we?
I guess we did. There, he's back. He's back.
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Now you were the one. We were. Yeah. You were the one that we lost you. What was the last thing you heard?
My internet connection was unstable that time. So
okay.
All right, we're good. I got pretty much most of that, so we can just kind of keep moving on. It just
Now, what do y'all think of the Emmy encounters? How many have you fought?
How many have we fought, or how many have we killed?
Yeah, how many have you killed?
Zach's like, I kill them all.
I think
there's many. 5
or 6, maybe.
Okay, then you're close because there's 7. It's 7 total. Man, you've been like blasting through since yesterday. If you're that far.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm at. It's hard to describe.
Yeah. What was the last ability that the one that you killed gave you? Because obviously there's some ways that maybe you can do them out of order.
Yeah. I don't remember what the last ability gave me. It was the sprint, maybe? I think, yeah, the sprint.
Okay, I think you killed 4 then. Because it's like the sprint is one you get earlier unless you sequence break in a way that I didn't know was possible. So I remember getting sprint really quickly. Do you press the left stick?
Yeah. I've got abilities since then, but not from enemies, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like you get abilities from enemies and from other stuff. It's like a whole...
Right now I'm on that bullshit water boss with the tentacles.
Ooh, okay. So, have you figured out like what to, like how to kill it? Do you want me to tell you?
I think so. That's the spider thing on the top, and you shoot his tentacle. Yeah, it just sucks getting up there with those floaty balls that I can't read.
So yeah, you just have to like destroy the big one in the water, and then you shoot at the sides to lower the water. And as far as you lower all the water, then it's a piece of cake. So that was the only boss that I was like, what am I supposed to do this? At first I thought, did I break this game because was I supposed to have the gravity suit, which allows you to jump high in order before this? But no, there's a way. Don't think that you break this game.
See, I'm over here like last night I was struggling with Kraid, and I will say both the death scenes and the
animation
boss fights, the cutscene at the start of boss fights are just great. I love how much gets translated from no dialogue, and it's fantastic. I think people, if you really want to do well in a writing position, you write a character that can't speak, and at least in a visual medium, you do so much out of that.
Here's what's hilarious though. When you know Adam, right? The computer, when you go to a place and then you just insert something and then Adam explains you something, he speaks in English. When you see any other character speaking that game, they speak like
well, they speak Chozo, right?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. And it's like that's weird. Why is Adam the only one to speak English and then everything else is like this weird language that I thought was just like Japanese mistranslation? But yeah, you're right, it's like Chozo language. So.
Interesting. Well, the only people that have actually spoken in my playthrough so far has been Adam, and I thought Samus still speaks, but just she doesn't choose to speak very often. Kind of like the whole Kiefer Sutherland big boss.
You'll see her speak in like a big long cutscene that happens like halfway through a game. I don't know if you already got there, Zach.
Yeah,
with like
I think so.
Yeah, so
with the backstory of the whole...
with the whole backstory, that it's just basically the halfway point of Doom. Basically, that happens in Doom 2016. There's like this middle section where you just speak to someone that gives you so much backstory, and then you're just back to normal, like doing the usual stuff. And what do you think of the Chozo robot guard?
I think I don't like him.
Yeah. Oh my god. So I have, so these are my, I just want to kind of, I actually wrote this out. Like, what are the things that I don't like about Metroid Dread? Obviously, we talked about the start map UI. I'm not a big fan of the EMI counter timing because it's all over the place. So even when you feel like you finally nail it, those will then just switch the like the timing just to like mess with you, to just keep emphasizing, don't get caught, don't get too cocky. And then my thing with the enemies, like, there's only one way to kill them. At the beginning, you obviously get the first one that just charges your cannon, and then the other one that just shoots fast. You do all enemies the same way. The only thing that changes is the map of the map layout of where you fight them. So you have to kind of be a little bit more ingenious to find a good angle, but it's the same thing. Destroy the big shield with the quick one, and then just charge the other one and destroy it. That's for all of them, with the exception of the last one, but not gonna spoil that. So I'm a little disappointed that I was like, oh, I thought you were gonna have different ways to do all of this, especially when you get the first two. It's like, that's cool. I wonder what other ways this cannon's gonna work. Oh, it's the same way. I repeated 6 times.
Man,
yeah.
I kind of wish like each power up you got, it's an Omega variation, and that's how you fight the enemies.
Yeah. So it feels like they cheapened out there. The soundtrack, I don't think is that memorable. Like, the Metroid Fusion soundtrack, I can still hear it from my, like, when I think of Fusion, I remember some of the songs there, or even some of like the atmosphere of that game. Metroid has always been like Nintendo's more scary series, because it takes a lot of cues from Alien, like Ridley Scott's Alien.
Clearly,
and like
you've never played Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, the first Luigi's Mansion. Then you play 3. That thing's a comedy. So like Metroid has always been that, and I feel like maybe it's a combination of the more 3D style art style and the way this game is illuminated that doesn't feel as scary. Like, I'm not scared about the enemies. I'm just annoyed that I have to pass through them. And they took inspiration of something in Metroid Fusion that was legit scary when you're trying to bait it. And those Chozo robot guards are the only enemy in the game that breaks the rule of the game, that every enemy in this game, even in the most annoying boss fight, you can read it. You can like really figure it out and know he's about to do this. If you get a little far, they're gonna do this attack. This is the right time. They're the only ones. They're the Marauders from Doom Eternal. Again, and like in the same way that enemy in that game completely broke the flow of combat for me. And get ready. At first you fight one of these at times, then you're gonna fight 2 of them at the same time. This was insane. It's been amazing how like I've been like documenting my journey through this game and the highs and lows. Those 2 guards were the ones that almost got me to quit, because they were so annoying to fight at first. Like, when is he gonna shoot me now? When is he gonna do this attack that I can block? Oh no, this is an unblockable one, but he's doing like 3 in a row. Now he's just doing normal ones in a row. Like, there's no way to like get into that flow like in a normal boss fight. I was really annoyed by that. So yeah, I can't wait to hear when you like, Paul, when you reach those enemies, because those are.
I'm not looking forward to stuff like that you mentioned. But as far as the enemies go, they kind of pretty quickly lost their creepiness to me, because you can outrun them, at least in my experience, really easily.
For now.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I've killed the green and the yellow ones, so the dude that dashes and the one that crawls through stuff. And I had like no problem with them. I just kind of like clowned on them. I would do stuff to get them to follow me, and then I'd camo jump up somewhere and then just keep running. There's no way they could
there's one coming up that will freeze you, and then there's one that has like a
Don't
sensor.
Spoil too much for me here.
Yeah, just know there's a sensor that will look you from walls, so you can really hide from him. So
okay, well, I've never really honestly worried about hiding from them, because I've been able to like slide through and stop them from getting to me one way or the other. But yeah, like once I've caught them, I've been able to counter them a couple of times, with the fact that their counter time changes each time is honestly kind of BS. Like, I get it, they're trying to say, oh no, you can't rely on countering, but I'm like, all right guys, I don't really care.
That's what Zach was like, because obviously it's like your timing right now in games is because Kina has really trained you for timing these days. But
so far I've still been able to counter them pretty well.
I guess then Kina really taught you there, because at a certain point I was like, I don't want to keep trying this, because it's like always a guaranteed like fail, and I'm really good at counter timings usually. So
The first one I can counter a lot better than the second. The second one, I don't know if I've been able to counter maybe one time, but the first one, when they go for the grab, if I can like watch it, the second I feel in my spirit that that audio cue in the flash, I can sometimes counter him.
Do you know you can counter the second attack? Like when he grabs you and then like that's
I did it once.
Yeah, that one's like I only did it once. I never tried to attempt it again because that one, the timing for that is so minuscule.
I do actually appreciate that they give you 2 shots. So even if you mess up the first time, you get one more chance. But I do also appreciate that even if you do get captured or whatever, they kind of just put you right outside that you can just go right back in. I was worried there was going to be very hard locked to your save points, and that worried me.
So now here's like my conundrum with Metroid Dread, because even with all these things that I've listed, and so far we have had like a more negative approach to like the things that we don't like about Metroid Dread, I think this game's awesome despite that.
Yeah,
like this
I'm
game,
glad
like
you mentioned that.
like because it's like, yeah, it's, to me it's a, why I mentioned this, because again we have to call out our friend PJ, that he was like, this is a 10 out of 10 blah blah blah, this is like this is a new benchmark for Metroid games and blah blah blah. And I'll say it's like, when you say that, it's very easy for me to notice the things that are wrong, especially when you are an entry from a series that has been dormant for so long. Then you have so many quote unquote copycats that have done legit ways that they have advanced stuff within the Metroidvania genre. So the one thing that I will say that this one does better than most of them is the feel of your character. Samus feels so good to play. She's so smooth, like she's so nimble, and that adds to her character. Like the way that they have animated her, like feels so confident, and it shines in those boss fights. That fight with Kraid is so cool. Like seeing the big dinosaur like towering, and she's just like staring at him like nothing. She really has that like Doom guy from Doom 2016, like no care in the world how she can destroy things, and the way she's gonna defeat some of the later enemies that you're gonna find, it's freaking awesome. So
I'm looking forward to that probably more than just about anything else.
Yeah. What else have you guys liked from it?
Zach, you want to go? I'll wrap it up.
I just dig the general atmosphere. Like I know it's not it's as scary as probably traditional Metroids are, but
it's still a good atmosphere.
I played a Metroid, so I just enjoy the sci-fi atmosphere of it all. I
enjoy
moving as Samus. I've been on a platformer binge recently, and it's probably the best feeling platform I've played in a while.
Yes, especially when you get the faster upgrades, like when you can like blink from place to place, and this feel like there's some really cool upgrades that you have guys coming up that you still don't have. And the ending, oh my god, I'm not gonna spoil it. Like this is something that PJ was this close to spoiling it for me, because I also had like a separate chat with him, because that's when big stuff is happening, and there's some great revelations even for someone that like you guys have never like really don't know Metroid. I think some of the things that happen near the end are really cool and will like maybe change your perception of her character like in really cool ways, like from here going forward, and in the ways that they could even follow up in future games. And that's the thing that makes me excited, because this is a game that for all intents and purposes is selling so much better than it has had before. This is a series that why it has remained dormant is because this is not a big seller. Nintendo can always rely on its Zeldas and its Marios and its Mario Karts and all that, because they know they bring in the money. Metroid never has, unlike this time, because it's broken records in the UK. It has outsold the entire series in Japan. If you looked at the eShop, you bought it in the eShop, right, Zach? Yeah, so it was #1 in the eShop of like the best sellers. A place that has always had a game like Animal Crossing there. Just keep that in mind. So, and the final boss fight, I tell you, it's probably one of the most bullshit yet amazing boss fights to really conquer. Like that dude's gonna like it may give you arthritis, some of the ability that like the dexterity you may need to like evade some stuff, but he's like very easy to read in a way. And then when you nail it and figure it out, when you beat that guy, you're gonna have like the most, I was gonna say, you'll feel like you had just had climax when you beat it. So, just and then everything that happens afterwards, that's the thing that I can understand why PJ felt so high. Because then after, despite this whole list of things that I don't like about this game, when I played that, I was like, wow. Just the things that happen after that final boss. You'll see when you get there. I can't wait for you guys to see that. Because it almost makes all the bullshit that this game has that I wish it didn't have to feel even like it was all worth it, and it'll make you want to start immediately again.
I want to point out I love the suit design.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention that. I thought we would have the blue, red, and white one longer.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you have the yellow one now?
Very quickly got the yellow one. And I love it. But I'm surprised that, especially with how much promotional material they did with that, they kind of immediately got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little surprised.
They didn't get rid of it. You got upgraded.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's. I guess I should clarify that I got upgraded to a better color scheme, I guess. I love the responsiveness, like you said. I love being able to just run through. I love the way she's animated, where she is just like booking it down hallways. The confidence, the pathos, the presence that Samus has as a character. I feel like this is the strongest that I've ever seen her, absolutely, especially from the way that she used to be in other retellings of things.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody summed it up with she's got the perfect "he said no pickles" energy kind of thing. If y'all remember those
SpongeBob, yeah. Oh yeah. And I remember SpongeBob. When
yeah,
they did
he said no pickles. So anyway, I really love it. I'm enjoying the feel of running through all of this so quickly, especially for a lot of platformers that rely too heavily on stunting your traversal
Mm-hmm.
and making it like really frustrating to get through certain areas. But like Samus just feels snappy from the start, from being able to bounce off walls, running through things. I was able to like just dive through, slide through enemies and stuff if I really wanted to get somewhere very quickly. So
I'll just say this,
I'm
like,
looking forward to
just
more
as
of
something to add real quick to that, like, this game is finally tuned that even if you pass through an area that absolutely frustrates you, the reward you get almost immediately after a while makes you want to keep going. Like, all the time, it feels like, man, I don't like this. This is bullshit. And I was, oh, this is awesome. I need you to keep going. It happened to me all the time. It's like, because it almost knows that they know they're going to put you through the ringer or something. You're going to be annoyed, but they had to, like, get your endorphin up again so you can keep on going. And I think that's, like, very intentional to do that kind of thing, because this game is not a cakewalk at all.
That I think that's one of the biggest things that I have to give them props for. The fact that their reward system is so good that it actually makes you forget the frustrating BS that you dealt with. Because I've gone through a lot of really frustrating times. I got lost 3 times yesterday. I only told you all about 2 of them.
Yeah.
One of which I needed help on. The other 2, I actually will say that I was able to get through on my own, just because of process of elimination and slowly giving myself that chance. So the fact that they keep giving me cool things to do, new traversals, new ways to deal with enemies that completely like nullifies crap that I was getting frustrated with earlier, really made me feel like I was getting stronger as a character. So I want to play more of this as soon as I possibly can. I want to play more Metroids in general from beforehand. I want them to make more Metroids after this. I want to like dive into the lore and the whole idea behind Samus and everything else going on.
Play Super Metroid after this.
If I can.
It's in the Nintendo Switch Online, so it's just there. Go play it. I can't wait to hear it, just to see how you can translate the things you've learned here and put it in like an older, much more difficult game.
Especially since going back through all the other stuff, like with Castlevania's, like I'm kind of building myself up. So that might be like the cap for all of like my crazy platformer needs with this. But
any other thoughts, Zach?
Nope. I like it.
All right.
There you go.
Thank y'all for joining us for all this amazing talk. Real quick, everybody, where can everyone find you? Zach first.
All right, you can find me at Zachity on everything. That's ZACITHY.
And for me, you can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter and YouTube, and Angel Sword 21 on Twitch. Alejandro.
They can find me at twitch.tv/The Slayer Giant, where you can see us play Halo 2 and the other Halos anytime soon. You can find my written stuff at thecriticalcorner.com, and you can find me on Twitter at @_Doro Segovia and Instagram at Alejandro Segovia 93.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Until next time, everybody listening to us, thank you for joining and listening. Press X
to play.
Good night, everyone. Adios.